Hey guys, it's Adrian here back again, the founder of the Conscious Gym podcast. And what I want to do is let you guys know that you guys can help be proactive by raising awareness with suicide prevention, by then being able to be a part of this campaign. Now, what I would like for you guys to be able to do is be able to tag me or make a video saying how you then protect your peace. For example, my name is Adrian Palmore. I'm the founder of the Conscious Gym podcast, and I protect my peace by watching cartoons. That's how I be able to help my safe set centered, stay grounded. I'd even meditate. So what I would like for you guys to do is, state your name and say how you then protect your peace. With this being said, we can then be able to generate more awareness and more actual inner circle and a vulnerable space for us to all feel as though we have ways to protect our peace, feel grounded, and let us know that we are all in this together because we have all been at rock bottom where we have all felt suicidal. So I think it's very imperative that we all protect our peace.
To the Conscious Gym podcast. I got a real special treat for you guys. Today, we will actually be talking about suicide prevention, and we'll be talking about how trauma correlates to suicide, and how this is Suicide Prevention Month, and how everything correlates to that. And I am now accompanied with a phenomenal perspective, Hailey Ross. You can go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm Hailey Ross. I never really know how to describe myself except that I'm a creative. I'm currently a student receiving a second bachelor's, getting this one in media and entertainment. So yeah, I just like to create cool things, which is why I'm on this podcast, creating cool things.
That's real dope, real dope. We had a lot of information to share with you guys to let you guys know, give you kind of a little background knowledge on what Suicide Prevention Awareness Month is, because it is actually a real thing. Also, a little trigger warning, because a lot of things that will be talked about today will probably trigger you or anything like that. So there is the proper help for you before you listen to this, during, when you will listen to this, or even afterwards. So, if you there is an emergency or anything like that, you can call 911 immediately. So if you are experiencing some kind of crisis, whether it's experiencing difficulty with thinking or any kind of suicidal thoughts, there is a suicide national hotline that you can be able to dial and everything like that. We actually have the number. It's 1-800-273-8255. Again, it's 1-800-273-8255. So if you're uncomfortable with talking to someone on the phone, there also is a line that you'll be able to text. It's also connected to a free trained crisis counselor on the crisis text line. So all you have to do is text NAMI to 741-741, and you will then be connected to a free trained crisis counselor on the crisis text line. So yeah, those are a few entities that you could be able to go out and check out if you do need help, or if you want help, you feel like you have nowhere to turn to. There is always somebody there, even if you feel like they're not in your corner. Now, just to give some background on what Suicide Prevention Awareness Month is, this is basically just a month for suicide prevention, to be able to raise awareness on this tragic situation, and then encourages educating people on how to basically prevent it in a number of ways. So basically, the history of the Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, it's gotten so bad to the point where the rates are as the third leading cause of death among those vulnerable to being suicidal. So the people who are then having these suicide ideations feel as though they are not able to either speak about the situation, because due to like stigmas in our society surrounding the topic, or they feel like those around them who commit suicide in the dark, afraid or even confused, are ultimately what like happens. So they feel as though they have nobody to turn to, there's nobody in their corner, or they feel like they're also alone and nobody did understand them. So basically what we're doing is we're generating awareness and educating people about this, indicate when somebody is then suicidal and things like that, because they could come out of nowhere, just like anxiety and depression, anything like that. So yeah, we can go in and jump into some stats. I know you got some stats for us, Hailey, so you can go ahead and start us off with some stats about how trauma affects us and some suicide and stuff.
Okay, I'm going to give y'all a few stats about suicide that we found, and then me and Adrian will discuss them. But a few of them are The rate of suicide is highest in middle-aged white men in particular. And most of these stats come from 2017. That's the earliest that they can get complete stats from. It also says men died by suicide 3.54 times more often than women. There are about 129 suicides per day. White males accounted for 69.67% of suicide deaths. About 50% of suicide deaths are done by firearm. The next largest cause is like toxins. So like overdosing on pills or taking, something that's harmful to you.
Right.
Um, the earliest that I could get stats for attempts was 2015, and there were about 575,000 people visited the hospital for injuries due to self-harm, which is crazy.
Yeah.
In schools, it states that 7.4% of youth in grades 9 through 12 report that they've attempted suicide at least once in the past year. Female students attempt almost twice as often as male students. I think that's really interesting because it changes as they get older.
Right.
So the people who fully commit suicide is it happens more often for men, but when you're younger, young girls attempt suicide more than young men. It also states that Black students were reported the highest rate for attempted suicide, which was 6.1%.
Wow.
Yeah, and for those requiring treatment, rates were highest for Black students, which was 3.4%.
Wow. It's That's actually crazy. Some crazy stats, and it's crazy because it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
even stop. It doesn't even stop there. The fact that it's been something that's been occurring and going on for so long, and I think a lot of things doesn't really happen. I think this happens every day, but the fact that it takes us by storm, like silently in a sense, but also it seems to never be a big of an issue until like a celebrity death happens or until someone loved ones pass away from this. So that's when
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's when it's the topic of the country is when something dramatic happens to where it's like, oh wow, it's in the mass media. So now it's like, wow, this actually is taking us by storm. And the fact that it's been taking us by storm is crazy because it's one of the fastest growing epidemics in the US and across the world. That means each year, only in the US alone, there's been 44,000 people to commit suicide. And then 31 of those suicides are Caucasian males.
Which is crazy because
Yeah.
if you, especially speaking on the United States, that's who has the most privilege here. So how is it that the people with the most privilege don't even want to live their own lives? Like,
Right.
what does that say about the value of life here? That the most wealthy and have the most access to success are committing suicide.
I think honestly, it could be a lot of different variables that can really just transpire into like what goes on in the U.S. Because I mean, I think it comes with the bad and the good. Because I mean, it's no right algorithm to why people are suicidal or what can lead to it. But I think there are different
Mm-hmm.
variables that are more than others to why people are more suicidal than usual. If that makes sense, you know.
Yeah, that,
So
that
like
makes
so
sense.
I feel as though like I mean it's more so one of those things where it's like it shouldn't be like that, but it's like why is it to the point where if we are as privileged as we are in the United States, why is it to the point where it's one of the fastest growing epidemics? Why is it to the point where people and honestly, I think it dates. I mean, it just dates back to what our topic of the day is trauma. Like, you know, I feel like everybody who is battling something, I think everybody's always battling something, whether it's big, small, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, we're
Mm-hmm.
battling something. So I think it just dates back to not being able to deal with the trauma that has then happened. Because I feel like not being fun, like not like me being as serious as I can be. I think that like people are trying to escape from something. Like that's what I think
Mm-hmm.
it is. Because like I've been suicidal before. I think we've all been there. We had the thoughts. Some have went on to do the action, and some have been successful with it. I said like God rest their soul. But the thing is, I feel as though with being suicidal, I feel like we're trying to escape something. I don't think ultimately anybody would want to die, but I think it's to the point where people want that pain to go. They want that pain to leave. You know,
Right.
when I was younger, sometimes I would be suicidal. I have thoughts. And I'm like, wow, what would happen if I would just leave? Like, I wouldn't have to worry about this. I wouldn't have to worry about that. And I had to come to terms like, it's not that I want to die. It's that I want the problems to go away immediately. And the thing is, I had to realize when I stopped thinking about killing myself was the fact that it came down to the point where if I killed myself, then what? The problems would be going away. Then what? No, I felt like then I was like, wow, but the problems would still be there. I just wouldn't have anything. I wouldn't have nothing to do, like to fix it because I'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I thought about it, I was like, dang, other people I would hurt if I was gone.
Right. You
And
think
I
about the
fear.
problems, then you then leave.
Yeah, and then I was like, wow, all I do is make a bigger mess when I leave. And it's almost to the point where it's like, how selfish can I be? You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
not saying that as like, oh, it's a bad thing, because some people actually feel like they're fed up. They don't have enough in them to be like, I need to be here for the other people. But they also
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's a breath of fresh air for them to be gone because they feel like it's better off the earth than here. And I can understand the reasoning. But the thing is, we would never want to encourage somebody to, like, to take that leap to be, yeah, it's better for you to be dead, because it's not. There's always better help out there. It just seems to have the right variables put in place for you to know that know your worth, and also know that your support system is there. If that makes sense.
Yes. And that's how a lot of people get to that point, is because they feel like they lack those things. Like
Yeah.
they don't have anyone or anything to live for. They don't feel like they're good at anything. They don't have many people in their circle. So it's like if I left, it wouldn't even affect anyone.
Right.
And a lot of people end up committing suicide, for those reasons. Or really it's really like as you go through life, you experience trauma in all levels. Like it's not like you have one traumatic event and that's the only traumatic thing that's ever going to happen to you in life. Like your birth was literally a traumatic event.
Right.
There's no way around traumatic events in your life. And I think that that's why as people get older, like kids attempt it but aren't successful because they're still young in their experience of trauma. But as you get older, like they start to pile up and pile up and pile up on top of each other
Mm-hmm.
until it's like, all right, no more.
Yeah. And you know what I thought about? It's like, you know, we go through so much stuff and we have to go through it to, like, they got this little saying, you live, you learn.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's like, think about this. Is because I just in my head think about this. Like, we go through these different things and stuff hits the fan, and then we actually prevail out of the stuff when it hits the fan, and we learn from it. But do you
Mm-hmm.
know that when stuff hits the fan, that's a traumatizing event. It's a traumatic event.
Yeah.
So then when we get out of that, did you know that in that event alone, the magnitude of it, where it's big or small, like that has an imprint, like it leaves an imprint on you. So just imagine all of the different traumatic events that transpire in your life throughout the course of your life. Like, you have imprints that left on you that do make you a better person, but also create different triggers for you that break up those events. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, like me, like literally with my uncle, like I literally watched him die in front of me. Like, his process was slow and painful. I watched him
Yep.
go from a healthy man, like from kidney failure. He went from a healthy man, all his hair, big round belly, goofy, funny, to literally almost a zombie.
Yes.
Like feet swell up, lost all like
Mm-hmm.
skin, like went real bad, and you know what I'm saying, shriveled up, could eat how he wanted to, could barely walk,
Yep.
could barely keep his clothes on, and it hurt me because it's like, dang, I'm
You're not
really
even the same person.
you're not even the same person. You know what hurt me to hurt, like what hurt him the most was the fact that during his time was coming. It was inevitable. We all knew this. We would take him to his dialysis appointments and stuff like that. And what would hurt me the most was the fact that he was losing his independence. Like, he was one of those people, like, I took care of my own house, took care of my own bills, whether I had a car or not. I made sure I made it time on work, paid on time. If I had any extra money, I made sure I took care of what I need to take care of and buy what I needed to buy. Very independent person. And what got to me was the fact that I was, day by day, we were literally watching his life pass every day. So he was on the clock, you know. And I remember, like, a couple of days before he had even passed, and I remember him, because it would go in phases. Because at first it went from losing hair, you know what I'm saying, him being real, like him not being able to move a lot. Then he would lose weight, feet would get swell up, he would lose his hearing, then lose his sight, and
all your senses,
all of them. And then what's crazy is I remember one day I walked in there and I was like, "You good? What's going on?" So like that, you know, he's still joking, laughing. But it got to the point where he knew he was dying and he was coming, and I went in there one day, and, you know, he still was doing good and stuff like that. He's like, "Yeah, my feet just hurt, but I want something to eat. I want some churches." You know, I'm like, "Oh Lord, here you go." And then, man, 3 weeks later, man, I came in there, walked right in front of him, and he was like, "That's you?" And he just started crying. And the thing that hit me hardest the most, cause I'm like, it's coming, ain't it? That's what I said in my head. I'm like, I know it's coming. It's around the corner. And I had never had anybody that died close to me yet, so I didn't know how to really take it. But I knew, like, what to already expect, to know that he wasn't gonna be here too much longer. And I remember him sitting there, and he was like, "Come here." He grabbed my hand and he just started holding me. He just started crying, and it just hurt me because I'm like, fine, I feel hopeless, just as hopeless as, not as hopeless as him, because I could only imagine me being glued to a seat, not even having the strength to even get up. And
it's like, how do you react to that?
Exactly. He had this whole life flashing before his eyes, and you know what's crazy? Out of all the friends he's had in his whole entire life, only had 2 to 3 people come see him on a regular basis, if even that. And it was crazy because he was like, why did they get to the point where I lost all of this? Why me? You know, and it got to the point where it's like, where are my friends at? Like, you know, why would nobody come see me? And it was hurting because it was like nobody wants to end their life off like that by themselves, to kidney failure, with no friends or like around, just their loved ones. And that's sometimes that's all we may need, but it wasn't a good way to go out. And sometimes I look back on it like, dang, I wish I could have did more, you know, to be there for him and stuff like that. But I actually watched him die and pass away, like, slowly and stuff.
Yeah, I had a similar situation. My grandmother passed away of lung cancer, and it was like the same thing. I watched her, like, just slowly decline, and it's like, dang, that made me just so much more conscious, just because of the type of cancer that she had and how her health habits affected that. Made me just think so much more about myself and my life, even to the point now, like, a lot of my coworkers everywhere I've worked smoke cigarettes, and they'll ask me for a lighter, and I always ask them, what are you using it for? And if they tell me to smoke, I won't give it to them, because that's my way of, lending a hand to the next person. That's what I can do by that experience. And you were talking about, like, learning from experiences. And what I've learned is that it's not about, like, passing the test. It's about how you take the test. So, like, when you test it in life, it's not about, like, how hard the test is, how big, small, or really even how you finish. It's about how you take the test. Like, okay, how do you navigate through this? Are you making smart decisions? Is it going to help you later on? Because I feel like that's how you get to, like, more of ease, I guess you could say. Because when you harbor the feelings of, like, why me? Why are these bad things happening to me? Is when you get into those feelings of feeling like you can't succeed at getting over this hump or doing whatever you have to do. And again, I think a lot of that comes from people not being open about what they experience. You feel when you're going through something, you feel like it's just you. It's just me. Nobody can relate to me or knows how I feel, because what we see on social media is such a glamorous life. or even what you see, when you interact with people. Nobody is knowing like, oh, she's having a bad day today,
Yeah.
because you're in a good mood when you're at work or when you go out in public. But when you're alone, it's like, here's everything I'm dealing with all at once.
Dang, like this, and me looking back on it, it's almost to the point where it's like I feel like we're all like that imprint. That like for instance, like we were talking about like leaving imprints, like that left an imprint on me. It made me feel as though like, wow, like what could happen to me? Like what happened? What's going to happen to me? Because we don't all plan our deaths. We don't even plan to even be here.
Yeah.
So like, how do you even plan to even do something like that? And I think one of the biggest things for me is like I feel like I'm scared because I'm like. Because one of my biggest fears is like I feel like I'm gonna die alone because of like how my anxiety, my depression and stuff like that. And I think the older I'm getting is the more I'm starting to like really open up and really evaluate myself and learn who I am as a person, to understand how
Yeah.
I either need to be loved or how I need to be like how I need to love and need to be loved. And I think it went back into like the traumatic experience that I went through when I was little, with my family and my
Mm-hmm.
dad not being there, and how me and my mom, some bumped heads, and it just went real bad because I think it's based on the relationships I've had with my mom and my dad and the relationship that I've had growing up. I think that's basically turned into how I act now with my peers and stuff like that. That's the first relationships you learn to do and deal with and how to love and stuff like that from that. So I think
You
that.
know,
Go ahead.
a lot of people um make bad decisions because of their fear of being alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I always encourage people to spend time with themselves. And I'm gonna drop a quote on you from a song. When you're saying like you're afraid to be alone.
Yeah.
The song says, um, "How you afraid when you in a room with God."
Right. Ooh,
And
that's,
I don't know how spiritual you are or your followers, but I feel like that's big for me.
yeah.
Like I can't sit in any room and feel alone, because there's a force that's going to get me through whatever space I'm in.
Right. And
So that's why it's like you can't feel alone, because someone is with you whether you can see it or not.
mm,
And that's the feeling that of encouragement. It's like, I don't care if I'm sitting in a house and my lights off, I'm not in here alone.
mm-hmm.
This struggle is temporary, and you just find your way from there.
Right. And I think the thing is with me is like, mind you, like I go through a lot of things by myself, and I that's the thing. I think I get that from my mom. I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
mind going through things by myself. You feel me? Because you know what, I've gotten to the point where it's like I'd rather depend on myself to go through it than knowing that I'm gonna go through it because I have no choice because it's my problem. Than depending on somebody else to be here to go through it with me, and
Exactly.
knowing that they have the option to leave when they want to because it's not initially their problem. So I've
Yeah,
got
and that's why
yeah.
you have to make decisions for yourself. Like, so I experienced like the biggest traumatic event of my life when I was 18. Like, I actually just turned 19 years old. So I was a lot older, but it happened to me while I was in school, and I made the drastic decision not to walk in my graduation. I chose to go to a music festival instead, because that's how I wanted to celebrate. That's what made me happy,
Yeah.
and I had much more of a better life experience doing something for myself instead of going to a graduation that was for other people. Graduation is for other people to see, your success. My teachers watch me pass class. I don't need to walk for my teachers. I can see my grades. I showed up every day.
Yeah.
I know the work that was put into this piece of paper.
Right.
So I'm going to go pour into myself and do something for me that's going to, regenerate me for this next phase of my life. Because walking at graduation, like, it's fun, but that thrill is over very fast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you realize that you do it for other people.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually a different. I mean, I never looked at it like that because I mean, I never was real big on walking, like, cause my when I went to community college and I got my play ball at JUCO and community college stuff like that. Like, I felt like walking during that time was not a big deal to me. I was like, yeah, I ain't tripping. I'm finna go. I'm finna go to USF. I'm not tripping about, you feel me, walking there. I'm finna leave. I'm ready to get out of Arizona.
Right.
And then, when I just graduated and got my bachelor's, it was like, dang, I'm really doing this. I ain't did this since high school. You feel me? And it's
Yeah.
like, wow. And to me, it was like all the stuff I had been through from the different schools, from the different stuff that happened to me when I got a triple at USF, from the different things that I went through while I was in school, when I could have been like, bro, this is it. I'm finna just go to the crib or all that stuff like that. It was almost to the point where it's like a breath of fresh air, because it's like, wow, one of my milestones completed. But it's the journey
Mm-hmm.
not even over. And I just think that it was one of those things where it was just like understand the perspective of what's best for you in that situation and at that time. So like just going back to what we were talking about as far as like traumatic experiences, me like, feeling like one of my biggest fears of me dying alone is almost to the point where it's like I feel as though I'm afraid to die alone, because I feel like I'm in a point to where it's like I've gotten corrupted to the point where I feel like I don't trust people enough to know that they're going to be here long enough, or to trust
Mm-hmm.
them to know that they're going to go hard for me as hard as I go for me, if that makes sense. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that me and my mom went through what we went through in high school, from, me finding her boyfriend, for us being on two different pages, and us button heads, and me going to live in a shelter, and you feel me, and us how we grew up,
Mm-hmm.
real, or like, we grew up in real harsh conditions and stuff like that. But my mom did everything that she could, but we bumped heads real bad. And it got to the point where that situation, I mean, because we rekindled everything and stuff like that. But the thing is, it's like, I remember we were talking about this like a while ago, like, I had to learn how to like forgive the person, but I don't forgive the action. You feel me? Like,
Uh-huh.
like I forgive like my mom for everything we've been through, whether she was wrong, right, or had her reason for doing whatever she did. But I don't forgive like the action. But I understand it. So like when she would explain herself, and when we went back to what we went through, and I would think to myself like, okay, I knew why you did what you did. When I got older, I had to think about it and put myself in your shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and I understood. I forgive you as a person, but I still don't forgive your actions. You feel me?
Okay, so I got a question.
Yeah,
You're a parent now.
yeah.
Imagine if you were experiencing some of those same things where you felt like your kids were doing something or having behavior that you felt was going to be detrimental to them as an adult, yet they couldn't forecast that, they couldn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
So you all are having problems. How do you think you'll use that in your parenting to not end up, on the same path that you and your mom had to go down?
I think that if the biggest thing that I do, I think I teach, or like want to teach, or like if anybody know me, I think a big thing that I talk about is perspective, and I try to like teach perspective. And the thing is like, I mean, I deal with like on a daily basis. I literally deal with all age groups. Like I volunteer at an elementary school, preschool, from ages from 4 to like 6. Um,
Bless your heart.
and and then I also work at a foster home, like, where I literally work with 9-year-olds all the way to 18-year-olds. You feel
Mm-hmm.
me? And then like I still work at another job, and I even go when I do training, for football or football, for boxing, kickboxing, stuff like that. I even like work, or even I even like in contact with people my age and older, and I even go back to my college to talk to the professors, stuff like that. So I'm always in constant like contact with people of all different ages. So like with me knowing, teaching perspective of, or learning perspective and how to deal with people in different age groups and what works for them is something that I've always had to learn. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the best thing is building rapport. And I think I have a good rapport, what I'm saying, with people that I built relationships with. And I think the best thing for me to be able to do is to teach them perspective and to understand, like, look, this is anything that I'm trying to tell you right now is coming from a good place in my heart. It's not for me to feel like I have to boss you around, but it's for me to tell you, to put you up on game about the right and wrong things to go about things, so that you could get things done in the correct fashion. Now, knowing that I'm gonna give you this advice, knowing you still gonna make some mistakes, because
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be like, okay, maybe he right, but I'm still gonna try this. Or maybe he right, maybe I might try his advice. And then let me see how
Yeah.
it go. And then that's how you get your learning curve. You feel me? So with
Mm-hmm.
that being said, it's just about how you supply the advice, and then when they get the results from whatever like action they took, then that's when you come and you implement the correct way of how y'all relationship is, if that makes sense. So for instance, like say, you know what I'm saying, say he's in school and he's talking about one like girls and he wants to get with a girl or something like that, and I'm telling him, or not even a girl, let's talk about something disciplinary, like as far as like he's in school, he's acting up and stuff like that, and I'm telling
Yeah,
him
he's
like,
being talkative.
yeah, talkative and stuff like that. And I'm talking to him about like basically you can't do this because you're taking away from the curriculum for other kids, but also from yourself because you're not putting in the amount of time that needs to be towards your curriculum, but you're doing it towards something that doesn't need to be done. Um, so then he was like, well, I feel like she doesn't pay attention to me. And then in a sense, you basically hear that he's basically wanting attention. She doesn't pay attention to me. Every time I say something, she says something to me, but never to nobody else. But I'm like, how about you try this? And then I give him a couple options, 2 to 3 options. How about you talking to the teacher? Or how about you say, look, how can I work on this? Or can I sit closer to the teacher so she can see you? Or how about you then work on yourself? If you have a question, ask first before you get up and try to talk or do anything else, stuff like that. So let's try these different alternatives like that. So then he goes in there, he may try that. Oh, well, it didn't work, or it may work. But then we could keep on trying to go about it like that. You feel me? So, you know, having a relationship with that person, because look, he could have chose to keep doing bad and never come to me. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But he chose to come to me and talk to me about it. And then I gave him some options, and he has the option to now use my advice or not use my advice and then get results. And then, you feel me, deal with the consequences from each result. So,
Right.
yeah, so that's how I go about that.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like you had any childhood trauma, like before the age of like 11 or 12?
Yeah, most definitely. Whew.
How do you think that trauma has affected you versus the trauma you experienced as an adult, like your experiences in college and those kind of things?
I say something like this. Okay, so like I'm gonna just give you kind of brief background knowledge of like a little how I grew up. I grew up, you know, 2 brothers, same household. My sisters grew up in another household on my dad's side. My brothers on my mom's side. Um, Me and my brothers, we moved to apartment to apartment to apartment. Then we finally moved in with my grandma. It was probably best that way because, you know, uh, my mom had lost her job, and we were trying to get back on our feet. We were trying to get a car. My mom doing all the things she needed to do with raising all 3 of us as knuckleheads as we was, and then with my grandma helping out, and then my uncle stayed with us as well. Um, so we stayed in there for a while, and all through grade school, all through middle school, and the house was an old house. It was built in the 60s, I think the 50s. So it's an old house. It's one of those old fashioned grandma houses. You walk in there, you either smell food or you smell grandma couch. Like it got that
Yep.
distinct. Yeah, you already know what I'm talking about. You feel me? So like how I grew up was like it was rough. I wouldn't say like that. I was to the point where I was like, my mom didn't have a job, and my grandma got Social Security, so my mom would have to use her check from the military that she would get each month, and we would have to use that money to get food, pay bills, and sometimes we would eat good for that first week. I swung everything and eat.
You going to Publix for that first week?
For Publix, church, like all that, church, all that. Cause my grandma old fast. She from Georgia. She loves her some churches, because churches be having them deals. You feel me? So we'll eat like that. But in the next couple of weeks, it got to the point where it's like you had to fend for yourself. So sometimes I took it upon myself to have to go to my sister's house because they was eating good and stuff like that. They was eating good, or they had it over there, but I would never tell them how I was living at my mom's crib. So
right.
In the month we weren't really eating too good. It was the point where I was going to my friends' house to try to eat, or take it out the store, still not the store, stuff like that, because we didn't have much at the crib. And then our living arrangements wasn't even the best at all. You feel me? I had holes in the floor, holes in the ceiling. You did what I'm saying? And that's like as the years would go by, like if it was hot outside, it was hot inside. The seasons would change outside, and it would change inside. Exactly. So when it was raining inside. You feel me? If it was cold inside. There was no AC, there was no heat. You feel me? Also, we had holes in the walls, holes in the cabinets, like everywhere. You feel me? So it got to the point where it was like we had insects, we had roaches, we had rats. All that stuff was literally coming in the house.
Yeah.
Growing up like that, I was one of the people like, bro, I hate this shit. Like, I hate it. You feel
Yeah.
me? And I got to the point where it was like I would go to sleep, rats, you could hear them in the ceiling. You could hear them running by the bed. You could hear them in the wall. You could hear them, like, you feel me, running on the bookshelf. And I hated that shit. Like, I hated it, bro. Like, if I had to pee in the middle of the night, I always got to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. Always. I will hold it. I'm like, bro, I'd rather my bladder.
I'll go when I get to school.
What? I'd rather my bladder blow up than me go in the middle of the night, bro, because it will be rats everywhere. You can hear them in the nighttime. And I'm just hoping they don't jump on this bed. I'm just hoping them, because they'll run across the headboard, they're running the bookshelf and all that. And then on top of that, you know what I'm saying? They would get into the cabinets, they would get into the stove. You feel me? And it got so bad to where I hated that. You feel me? Our stove stopped working. You feel me? Our deep freeze stopped working. Then our fridge stopped working. You feel me, bro?
Then it's like, now what?
Bro, what? Our bathroom stopped working, bro. How you gonna tell my grandma with bad knees who can hardly get up where she gonna use the bathroom at? Where she gonna shower at? Where she gonna bathe at? You feel me? To figure that out. Wash and dry stopped working. You feel me? I'm sleeping on clothes in a garbage bag. You feel me? Like,
yep.
You feel me? And then, like, on top of that, I remember one time, like, I'm laying down, and I never, even to this day, I never hang my feet off the bed, hang my hands off the bed. Bro, a rat bit my hand. I'm laying down, it bit my hand, and bro, and I remember
but see, that's a trauma.
And I remember waking up telling my mom what happened, bro. My mom couldn't do nothing but look at me and start crying. And bro, when I like, and I used to really hate it, bro. And the thing is, like, my mom dealing with all that, not having a car and a job, and having to deal with all things that's going on in that house, trying to keep it together with just all of us, with my grandma. You know what I'm saying? Going through what she's going through, and trying to keep that household together, bro, is hard. You feel me?
Yeah, it ain't easy.
And then when you got somebody like me challenging, because, you know, I want better. And then I'm hard-headed too. Hard-headed as hell. It's stubborn, and I'm persistent, though. Because I'm the one that's going to ask questions, but I'm also going to want to know why. You feel me? I want to know, bro, why we living like this? Why when I go to my friend's house, he got an Xbox, he playing with this? You feel me? Why I still ain't got no phone? Why I ain't got the regular stuff? You feel me? Like, but I feel like it was basic stuff that I feel like I should have. But I was combating her when she was like trying to worry about having food in your stomach. You worry about some shoes. I'm like, well, hell, don't I deserve some shoes after all this, what we done went through? You feel me? But me not knowing what it takes to be a parent and take care of a household with everything falling apart and not having enough resources to be able to give us all what we had needed, bro, it can be very troubling when you have a defiant son going up against you with wanting better, and you can't even give it to him. So it hurts you twice, because you can't give it to him because he kind of right in the sense because he deserves it. But at the same time, I'm doing the best that I can, and you still want more. You feel me? So it's almost to the point where I'm like it's hurting. So when growing up with that for several years, and I'm going against my mom day in, day out, and it's almost to the point where it's like I felt as though she turned on me and she wasn't doing the right thing for me because I was being defiant, and, you know, but at the same time, in either shoe, both was wrong. I should have stayed in the child's place, and if I was going to help out, I should have helped out by not asking questions, but being able to go try to provide or help out with the household instead of combating. Because I felt like it was like, bro, like, if we got to live like this, why? Like, why are you doing this to us? You feel me? But at the same time, it wasn't my place to do that. It was my place to do what I needed to do, stay in school, keep playing ball. You feel me?
I want to say that I think it is your job as a kid to be inquisitive.
Yeah.
You know, you should want to know, because then you don't have any understanding. It's like, well, to me, we just living like this because we're living like this because I don't have a job. This is how much unemployment pays. This is how much our bills are. There's a deficit here. We're not meeting them, you know?
Yeah. And
because then as a kid, that's perspective for you as a kid. You're like, okay, there's no money.
Right. And that's the thing. I would hear from outside entities like, you're supposed to have this, you're supposed to have that. And it's almost like she say, I go back, and it's like, dang, bro. And I'm looking at the whole picture, and I'm like, if we supposed to have all this, where is it going to? So that's the thing. So me questioning was a form of disrespect because I just wanted to know, but it's like I'm not getting the answers. Plus, she looking at it as a disrespect, and plus you have new boyfriend in the picture, and hey, we back again. Sorry for the brief intermission. But back to the topic at hand. You go ahead and speak up where we left off at. What were we talking about?
You were speaking on basically traumas you experienced when you were younger.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's interesting because my experience was similar but not the same.
Mm-hmm.
My mom had 4 kids. She's always been a single mom. Me and my dad have a great relationship, but we've never lived like in the same household. And like we never had much as far as like furniture or like like decorative. We never had like a well put together house, but my house always felt like home. So like all my friends would come over to my house and just kick it. My mom always let kids come over, like all of that. And like, my mom let us know, like, okay, we got stamps today. We're gonna go grocery shopping. And maybe she did it with me because I'm her only daughter. So maybe I learned a little bit more of those things. But we go to the grocery store, like, okay, this is the budget we want to stay in. We have to get stuff for the week, snacks, blah, 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 things for y'all to eat when y'all get home from school. And yeah, but we constantly moved, like all the time. We always had different cars, like, never a super fancy life. But my mom is just like very positive. She also is really smart and knows. My mom did grant writing for a long time, so she knows a lot of like free services that she could use. So
Mm-hmm.
she always like tried to reach out to like those kind of things. So I never had too much trauma then. My mom lost her job my like junior year of high school.
Right.
So like very drastic change there.
Mm-hmm.
So, things got real wicked. But I've been working since I was a freshman in high school. So I was constantly like, making a little bit of money, what you make when you're in high school. But I would always contribute, you know. There was a point to where we moved in with a family member, and it's my mama, her 4 kids,
Yeah.
and it was staying with a family friend in like a 2-bedroom house, and it was all of us as close in that small space as we could get. There were times where we, lived in a hotel, like we had a storage unit for most of our things and kept clothes with us. But that never felt like I never had the feeling of anger like you did, because me and my mom were more like friends. I'm not gonna say we're more like friends. There was always like a respectable relationship, but my mom definitely was that mom. Like so many other women would like I don't want to say scold my mom, but like talk about her way of parenting. Because my mom was white, they always just be like, "Oh, that's that white people stuff."
Yeah.
But it had great effects on us getting older, because we still had a good time. There was still love. There was still, even if we didn't have nothing, there was us.
Right.
So, and my mom, I watched my mom sacrifice for us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, whatever you need. Like, oh, I just went to work. Like, Mom, the bills are paid. My little money puts gas in the car when we need it. And lets me get luxury things that I want. So I don't have no problem putting this little bit of money that I do make, and putting it towards us living. And like, so when it was my second semester in my first undergrad, my mom was sentenced to prison. She went to jail for 5.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
which was a big contributor to me not walking at graduation.
Mm-hmm.
But in that time, it was like, okay, work, 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 work. Because what a lot of people don't know is how expensive it is to have and care for someone who's incarcerated, especially women. They need so many other things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the price of them is so high. you know, because the market, like they can monopolize the market in the prison system. But anyways, you know, I was working to make sure my mom had the basic necessities that she could get access to. You know, my mom she's not older, but she not my age, you know, so she has this large stress on her, which affects her health. So she has to, you know, now be on medications and take things to help her because she's in this such intense environment that's so very new to her, that's, you know, very unexpected and things like that. And I have two younger brothers who experience this trauma a lot different. Like I have a little brother who's kind of the way that you said you were, like more defiant, not understanding why, you know, he doesn't have certain things or why he's living a certain way, and that is you know, it's not his fault that things happen to him. So why does he have to get the short end of the stick, basically?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's hard to teach that to a kid. And it's like, okay, but now, like when I look at how it affects me, I don't feel like it was a hard thing to carry, but I just feel like I did what I had to do. And that's maybe because I watched my mom do what she had to do. You know, I watched her make sacrifices and still be happy. But in that, I learned how to make sacrifices myself. A lot was sleep, because I was young. So I was like, I still want to go out. I still want to have fun. So I was like, I'm going to sacrifice sleep because I'm in school. I got to get up and go to class. But I still want to go out and have fun. So as soon as I clock out, I'm going to go get ready and have fun. I'm going to get up early on the weekends and show up to my brother's football games. So sleep was like the biggest sacrifice there. But I just figured out what I wanted. And like, even in my circumstance, there were things that I still wanted. I still wanted a degree because I sat down. I had to have a real conversation with my family because I was only literally a semester in. So I was like, y'all, it's not that deep, you know?
Yeah.
I can get back to this when, you know, once my mom comes home. And she came home April 7th, 2019. My girl free, living her best life.
My dog just jumped.
Yep. That was a very dope moment in my life. So yeah. Like trauma is really about, like I was saying, it's about how you learn to take the test. Like, how do you react to it? Because things happen. Like, you know, people, unfortunately, I have found I have many friends who've lost parents, and that is very, very, very hard.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah. And so that's why I cherish, you know, the moments I have. But also, like, that's a big trauma that you have to learn, you know, to cope with, deal with, you know, take that test and move forward. Because you can't.
You know what I got to say about that though? Because like cause I feel like I lost a parent. I feel like I lost a parent, and he's still here. And,
yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, what do you tell somebody who feel like they have a parent or they have somebody that they care about or they're like that, and they still on this planet, but they feel like they've already lost them? Like, see, I'm one of them people that's like, you know how you ever hear somebody like, man, once you cross me, I'm done. Like, you feel me? They be like, yeah, like, I'm actually one of those people who actually mean it. Like, once I've already gave you the pedestal, like put you on the pedestal for you to be able to be that person that I want you to be, and then you let me down so many times, only so much more I can take after that.
Okay,
so like,
remember we recently had a conversation about looking at people as individuals. Right. No matter what, it's like you put them on that pedestal, but you did that. They are an individual. They have their own life, and they have their own pedestal to live up to. It's not up to them to sacrifice their individuality and who they are, no matter who they are to you, to now live up to the pedestal that you've put them on.
So what do you say that to a person if they're talking about their dad?
Yeah, that's your dad. And I understand that you're like, this is how my dad fits into my life. And this is how I see a dad in my life. But your dad is a person. He has his own individual struggles. He has his own goals and everything that he's trying to achieve, while also, achieving so many other things like being a dad.
Yeah, because I feel like it's a lot of things that are you can't come back from. If I may say, you can't come back from. Now the thing is, I feel as though like there are certain things that have happened in the past where I may not know everything about, but I've made it my business to say, you know what, things have happened, and I'm enough stuff that happened to me personally to where based off those judgments alone, I will not like mess with anything about you, because it's things that I felt like you could have been there for and I needed for probably. And now that the opportunity has been gone, I may have not needed. I don't need you now as much as I would have then. Not saying that. Hey, I feel like everybody needs their parents, but it's gotten to the point where I felt like I've developed so much stuff along the lines of me going through what I went through with my mom being mom and God being dad. Because I feel like God has put me through so many different things through life that has taught me the things that I feel like my dad probably should have been doing for me if he was doing his role. But I feel as though like I've already placed it in my mind, like, son, stay where you at. It's nothing that you can do right now that bring back the things that you've done wrong. Like it's so many things that I feel like I could bring to the table of what he did, why he's wrong. And also it's almost to the point where it's like I talked to my mom about it, and she was like, just let it go. Like, you should probably talk to your dad. And then my mom, I'm like, Mom, I let it go a long time ago. Like,
but you didn't.
Everything I did. No, listen to me. Let me talk. Look, what I said is like, I've let everything, like, oh, it's fine. Like, everything that has been done is fine. You feel me? And I think it's transpired to relations that I have with men. Like I can cut a dude like my friends that are males. Like, it's cool. Like you could cross me or whatever like that, and I'll be done with it. You know, I can confront you or whatnot, but I can be done with it. You feel me? Because I've because of the first figure in my life that was supposed to be able to be that figure has taught me that it was acceptable for there to be expectations, and if you don't meet that, then it can be done for, because I already did it to him. So in my mind, I already told my mom, like, look, because she was like, you should forgive him and at least talk to him. My thing, I was like, look, Mom, everything he's done in the past, from you to my sisters to my stepmom to all of that stuff, has always been inexcusable. It's always been excusable. It's always been inexcusable. One thing I will never do is ever let that be something to where it was ever okay. Now, it's in the past, it's done, so it's done. It does not hinder me to this day, but I know subconsciously in a relationship that I do have, it does hinder me. But it does not stop my immediate actions for what I do day-to-day on a day-to-day basis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I feel as though it's cool to where it's okay with how I act now, with how I treat him, if that makes sense. So, because she was like, you should forgive and let go. And I was like, well, Mom, this is what I do. I will never forgive his actions. But him as a person, it's cool. It's okay. I see him, dap him up. He want to speak to Mellow Cashmere. Boom, go ahead. You know, right there. I'd never be that kind of person to do that. But as far as like, let's talk about this or let's actually build a relationship, no. Because the thing is, after you've did what you did for years, you feel me? Whether it's not be there, not show up, not do what you did, and went ghost as being a dad, and then try to come and be a spot dad for other years, it will not go down like that. Because when I needed you to be there, you wasn't there. You were doing other things, which I have reason for. Which I understand you have your life and you do have your reason behind everything, but that's just because you have reason in the perspective does not always make it correct or okay, if that makes sense. So I took it upon myself to say this. Everything that has transpired in that past has happened, and I judged it, and I already know how I'm going to deal with that. But you as a person, I don't feel like you're worth rekindling a relationship because of everything that you've already done. And because even after what you've done to me, the actions that happened after you stopped dealing with me and dealt with my other sisters and how you treated them, that's even more reason to why you're still the same person that you are. There is no growth that I've seen or even want to see, because there's nothing that I can value from you as a person or even get from you as a person, if that makes sense in my eyes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So
I do think that you're still looking at him through a certain lens, whereas I feel like your your father is not exempt from mental health. You never
nah, for
know
sure not. Nah.
how things that he's experienced in life are affecting him and his mental health. You know, he
Oh yeah.
may have needed guidance this whole time that helps him get to more of a solid mind where he can um do better at these kind of situations. You know, he may have some kind of trauma, maybe with his own father, that affects his ability to father a son.
Back again.
After another brief interruption. You just an
As
important
far
man,
as like
Adrian. That's
as
all.
far as like how I view my father and everything like that.
Yeah. So what I was saying was that there may be an experience that even your father doesn't consciously know is hindering him. It may be like a subconscious thing, like how you were talking about how you can cut off men, but about something he may have experienced maybe with his father or male figures in his life that caused him a hindrance to father a son or father someone who has a personality like you do. You know, that may be like triggering to him to trauma that he's endured. And that's really what I mean by looking at people as individuals, saying like,
Yeah.
you look at yourself and have learned that this is a trigger for me and this is why I do that. And that's helping you build your mental health. But a lot of the generations before us
Right.
didn't do that. You know, just be like, this is how I am, and that's it. I've learned that this is what it takes to be a good man, you know, to provide, to do this, to do that. And those are the stipulations of being a good man. But now there's more requirements, you know, when you have kids and times change, you know, like
Yeah.
you as his child, you're requiring him to deal with that trauma. You're requiring him to, you know what I'm saying, fight his mental battles. And that's
Yeah.
why I think you should just sit down and be like, hey bro, what happened? You know, because like you said, like you forgave him, but for you, I think it's better because you have the release of speaking to the source of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's what that opportunity allows, because you never know, like you could really dead it after that and, you know, never talk to him but have a much more um solid place of peace in that area. Not like you weren't there when I needed you, because you don't know your future. You
Yeah.
don't know how you may need someone in your future. You could say that you weren't there for me when I needed you the most, but the most that you may need them may be next year.
Yeah.
You know, so if you allow them the opportunity now to gain that, when you need them the most, they can show up. Just
Right.
because you were young, that doesn't mean that that's when you needed them the most.
Yeah.
You can't determine that, you know.
Yeah, that is true. And I felt like looking back on it is like, you know, it's been so many different variables that have been put in place where, you know, he stayed with my sister and my sister's helped him and he's went back into like, you know, gambling and doing other things like that. And it's like, how old does it take for you to have to understand that you have to learn from
Yeah.
your mistakes? You understand me? And like, and my thing is like, it's like, cause you say all that stuff, like, I mean, need him, or I mean, hear from, like, you know what I'm saying, from the mouth of him, and in my mind it's like, what if I just don't care? Like, because that's what it's gotten to. Like my mom, my aunt say the same thing. Like, you probably should just, you know, maybe you may hear something that you maybe need to leave, maybe you need closure. And it's like, but what if I don't care about closure? Like I'm saying, like I'm at, like, cause I'm like, cause I may say I'm at peace, but like I don't think that I'm hurting. Like me and my mom, I don't think I'm hurting from how I view him as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I dislike my view on how I treat like males, just like with my relationship with my mom, how I treat or view females. I think is like, it's more like disrupted because of the relationship that me and her has had. So it's been like a little different.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So like that's why I always just deaded how me and my like never having talking to him, because I never cared, you know. So I got to the point where it's just like there's no conversation that's needed when I know all the information that I do need, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't care for having like a certain type of like, you know, bond or closing to him, to give him a platform to speak on, because I don't particularly care about his point of view. That's the thing. You know,
But why not?
why not? Because I don't think it serves me justice to the point where I feel like I need it, or I feel like it doesn't serve me justice to the point where it's going to benefit me in any kind of form or fashion. For me to have answers for things that happened a long time ago, for me to have peace on things that I don't feel like I'm just consciously struggling on for having them.
It don't be your conscious struggles that, you know, get you to problematic situations. It be those subconscious struggles where it's like, when I get alone and all of this comes about and it starts to shed light because I'm by myself and my subconscious is working now. Those are the problems where you're like, okay, well, why am I losing all my friends? This is not you. I'm just saying.
No,
this,
yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
This could be the consequence of it. And because you're like, well, I don't care about this, you're closing that door, you know, that you never know where that can take you. And
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't like take the opportunity, you'll never know what's on the other side.
Right.
Because you could open that door and be like, you know what, that's not for me, and you can close it and you can go in another direction. But if you don't ever open the door, you don't know what's on the other side.
Exactly. Or what the benefits of what could happen during that time.
Yeah. Because you know what, you could be right. You could be like, this is not going to change, it's not going to do anything, but you can say that you tried. Like, I tried this, it didn't work, so now I know 100% that I need to move forward in another direction.
Yeah, because I'm one of the people that don't care about if it's family, friends, or anything. Like
Same.
I don't mind not fucking with a particular part of like people, even if they're family. Like, cause my thing is like I value methods, codes, and anything over blood. So that means that I have a certain amount of value in how I view things, no matter if you're blood or not. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So down to the point where it's like, look, like, these are the things I move by, and these are the things I feel as though I hold to a certain magnitude. And if you don't come to those expectations, then I don't mind getting to the point where it's like, look, I can't see myself being cool with you. You feel me?
Yeah.
So at that point, and
how have people reacted to you doing that? Because I've done that and it didn't get a great reaction.
I think what I do is I do a good job of letting people, like, I kind of feel like I'm kind of open book that I'm not, because I do share I'm real good sharing my emotions and how I feel and how I view things and my perspective, so they understand my way of thinking, so they can understand why I do the way things I do, so they can help me make better decisions when it comes down to making decisions, when it comes to my relationships, whether it was with my friend, with a peer, with a female, or anything like that. Because I feel like I am one of those people that's still broken, but I feel like I'm in tune with my emotions, and I'm in tune with,
because you're a Cancer.
Man, shut up. So I'm in tune with that. So I feel like with me being in tune with that, I'm aware of it and I'm able to like communicate it. So I'm open to hearing different things so they can help me help us, if that makes sense. You feel me? So it's been good and bad, because I've lost some good people. You feel me? Both male and female. And yeah, I mean, cause like it hurts, because it's like I'm dealing with this, and on top of that, I got general anxiety disorder. So like, just mix all that trauma plus general anxiety disorder, it's just a recipe for disaster. And then it puts me in a place where it's like, dang, you know, because a lot of people don't want to deal or put up with that. So when I already expect that people don't want to properly deal with that, I almost make it seem as though they're gonna exit any time. So I'm always like on the fence of them doing that. So it puts me in a situation where it's like, dang, I don't even want nobody to get close, because they can just leave, you know? So
yeah, but you got to think about power of attraction.
Yeah.
Those deep thoughts that you have like that is what's going to keep causing people to do that.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. Because people gonna get to the point where it's like they can't deal with it, because you're putting them in a situation where like I'm doing it. You feel me? So
yeah, so I might as well do it.
Yeah, so I've gotten to the point where it's like I'm literally trying to get myself to heal before I get in a situation where I keep doing this to people who actually care, and I end up losing out on more people that actually care about me, if that makes sense. So
it makes a lot of sense.
So I've been feeling like I'm doing it in the right fashion, and it's also led me to some places where I felt like I could be suicidal or stuff like that. Like, I went through being suicidal or feeling like, you know what, the best thing for me to do as of right now is for me to just kill myself. And then like I said before, like I had to realize like it's a better fat way to go about certain things. And I think the last time I felt like I wanted to be suicidal it was more like 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I was like thinking to myself, like, bro, if I do this, I will never have the power to change everything. I'll never have the power to achieve my dreams. I'll never even figure out what's going to happen when I get older, how I'm gonna be when I get older, or if I'm ever going to achieve anything, because I gave up so quick. And I had to realize, like, man, there's so much stuff I can accomplish, and it's so much stuff that I'm like looking back a year ago, looking back another year ago, and it's like I would think I'll be here, and all this stuff that's transpired. So it's like things are gonna happen. I have to just realize, like, they transpired like this. And once I came to the point where it was like, bro, I'll have the power to change all this, and I will never have the power to not change anything if I die right now. And after I found the power in understanding that, I told myself, look, bro, I'm not gonna kill myself ever. I'm gonna just keep fighting. I'm gonna get depressed. I'm gonna feel like I don't want to fight no more. I'm gonna feel like, hey, today is a mental health day, bro. I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat what
You're
I want
just
to
like,
eat.
I'm gonna sleep, and I'm gonna eat things that I like to
eat. Exactly. And I'm gonna watch cartoons. And that's what I had to do some days. Like sometimes I have to make a mental health rest of the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? I have to literally like find the day like a peace of mind. Like I work in both my jobs all day, then I come home and I'm like, bro, I need to like literally vibe out. Watch a little Bates Motel, probably watch a little cartoons, you feel me? Eat some cereal or something, like just eat some vibe, like create a vibe. You feel me?
Yeah, and that's what I think is really important when people negotiate their work.
Yeah.
Like when you're applying for a job, say and be very stern in having a particular day off. Like, I do not work on these days, or I do not work on this day, because on that day you spend, for yourself. No matter what it is, however you do it, you are very stern and say, this is when I work.
Yeah.
And when I work, I'm here on time and I do what I need to do. But I do not accept working on this day.
Yeah.
And, and I think that that's very important. Like, I had to do that. And it helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And I just was like, listen, this day, I don't do it. Sundays are my day where I can sleep in.
Yeah.
I can lay around the house. I can watch Law and Order SVU. I like to cook,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's my day to pour into myself, which is why I like to cook. I like to make a meal myself that is for me, to my liking.
Yeah.
And all those things. So mental health. I wanted to ask you, your general anxiety disorder,
Right.
is it hereditary?
To be honest, I honestly think I honestly think it is. I think my mom has it for sure. Us talking more and more, it's like, wow, I can't believe I'm so much like my mom. Like,
Yeah,
so
and
much
even
like my
you need
mom.
to
And I
look at
think,
your dad that way.
and the thing I was about to say that, I was like, and the thing is, I really think that, like, as the males in our family, we all my most of my family have like mental health. Like, there's mental health things there that are like that are
Included.
so, like, for me, I got general anxiety disorder and ADHD. So I remember talking to my sisters and stuff, like they were like, yeah, the males on our dad's side of the family, like they have mental health different issues, and it affects us. And just imagine being, like I told, like saying about other podcasts, just imagine being in that era where, or that generation where it's like people didn't even know about mental health, or about like, oh, if you're dealing with something, it's like, oh, just pray or just do this and the third. And it's like, oh, you don't even know about they may really have a dysfunction, and like mentally, and you don't even know that. You just really think they just may be crazy, or they just tripping, or they just need to abide by your rules. But it's like, son, there's really something wrong with them,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm looking more and more into it, but I'm looking more and more into myself to study myself and learn myself so I can fix myself. Because I don't want to be like this forever, especially when knowing that I'm always going to have ADHD and general anxiety disorder, but I want to know a better way I can just like fix it. You feel me?
Yeah, or you want to know how it's going to affect your son.
Oh, for
and
sure.
How you can start, building a better path for him now.
Yeah.
By saying like, okay, this is something you're going to deal with. These are coping mechanisms. These are things that you can do while you're young, where you can like train his mind to be like, all right, this is how I'm gonna deal with this. And speaking of like the older generations, if you think about the time that like our parents grew up in,
Exactly.
like, like my parents, so my mom is white and my dad is black. And there are a lot of instances where like, I mean, my parents were totally frowned upon for being together.
I bet.
Like, I would be in the grocery store with my mom as a young girl, and they would ask us, were we together? And I'm thinking to myself, like, no, I'm just an 8-year-old girl out here wandering around by myself. And it's so, I started to question my identity so much as a kid, to the point where I asked my mom, was I adopted? Like, I begged her to just tell me the truth, because so many people made me start looking at myself differently. Like, why is this a problem? So I can only imagine like what my parents experienced. They come from two totally different worlds, like totally different worlds. But one somehow ended up together, two ended up having a crazy child like me. But like, those experiences are crazy.
Yeah, so we back again.
Back again.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and about your parents and everything like that.
Yeah, just like they, grew up in a totally different time, and their traumas are very different than mine.
Right.
Because like, we were just coming out of like segregation, like in the time that my parents were born and growing up. So it was like, basically like a very radical thing for them to do what they did.
Right.
All my mom's kids are mixed with black.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very different for like her side of the family. It's, not too different for my mom's side of the family. Like, growing up, when we had to take standardized tests, it asked you to choose a race, and I always had to raise my hand and be like, what am I supposed to choose? And my teachers just were like, whatever you identify with. And I just like had to continually stress to them that I am not one or the other, I am both. And at the time, there wasn't the choice of
Oh yeah.
2 or more races or choose all that apply. So it was confusing, for me as a kid to have an identity where I'm like, like, perception of me is that I'm a black woman, and I can say that I maybe identify with that more, but in actuality, I am half and half. I am not one more than the other.
Right.
It's like when you look at yin and yang, do you say, is it black or is it white?
You're
It's
right.
both.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, so I just try to look at my parents and the time that they grew up in, and like their traumas, and what would I do if that was my trauma and that's how I was growing up and I had kids to raise.
Yeah.
Because I don't have kids. I took care of, helped take care of my little brothers, but that's very different than having my own children.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a lot of things that just play a part into our trauma and how it can lead to us to being, you know, anything alone and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think it's a lot of things that correlate to different variables to how we have been, just seeing how we have been, how we grew up and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the talk. I really enjoyed the amount of things we covered. Because I think this stuff is something that really needs to be talked about. And I think we shed a lot of light on ourselves. And I think we opened up a lot of different doorways and I to feel as though they can have these kind of discussions with their loved ones, and even, to open up different things for themselves, for them to question themselves, but also be able to shed new light on what they can do in the beginning, and I mean later on in life, and who knows, a lot of different things can come out of this, good, bad, and even perspective. So yeah, I really appreciate you for being here and shedding your light on this, because I really needed you to be on this with me, and I'm pretty sure you added some very needed perspective on this, meeting you both. So yeah, you can reach you can always email me at adrianpalmore19@gmail.com. My Twitter handle is AdrianP_MM. My IG is AD_Palmore. I'm doing a suicide prevention campaign, so you guys can always send your videos out of how you protect your peace. Go check it out on my Twitter, my IG page. It's a real dope campaign to raise awareness for suicide prevention, for Suicide Prevention Month. And yeah, I can't wait to keep this thing rolling with you guys. Yeah, so thanks, Hailey. Thank you a lot. Anything you want to tell everybody out there who are listening?
Just that I hope this is an avenue for people to feel more comfortable about their traumas and what they're experiencing, and that you can always reach out to people, even strangers. You'll be surprised at how they respond to you. I try to respond to, people I don't know if they ask me questions and things like that. You can reach me on Instagram at I'm a Cali girl. It's IMAKLI_GIRL.
Dope. That's real dope. You can reach out to us. I'm always willing to talk with any and everybody, big, small. It really don't matter. So yeah, we're gonna keep this campaign rolling. We're gonna be here all month talking about anything suicide related. So if you have anything that you guys want to talk about, question that may arise, you can hit either of us. And yeah, we'll keep this thing rolling. I really appreciate you.
Anytime.
All right, y'all protect y'all peace. Weezy out of here.
Peace.